Welcome to Self-Care Prescriptions.
This is your invitation really to just take a break.
Tune in and tune up with practical tips on taking better care of your mind, body, and soul.
We're going to create a safe space here for you to really let it go.
This is your safe space to help you work on you, your mental health, and overall wellness.
Nothing average about that at all.
This is Self-Care Prescriptions with Dr. Robyn Gobin. Your weekly dose starts now.
We're back with another episode of Self-Care Prescriptions with Dr. Robyn Gobin, and this week the topic is making time for self-care. Very good topic because myself, I struggle with making time. For example, I wake up in the morning, check my cell phone, then I get into my routine. I do my routine strictly to the routine, never deviate from my routine, and I only really truly make time for what I really want to do. So, with you being the self-care doctor, you helping us with some good info, bless us with some knowledge about how we can make time for self-care.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because it's something that everybody struggles with. I think it's a real challenge. We have so many things that are vying for our attention, for our time, day in and day out. And so it can really be easy to put self-care on the back burner. But I think one of the key pieces that you said was that you don't make it a priority, because I think that's really the key to being able to fit self-care into your busy schedule is what do you prioritize? And so I've seen on social media a lot of times people will say, don't say I don't have time to work out, or don't say I don't have time to eat healthy. Instead, say it's not a priority for me right now in my life, and then see how it feels to say that. Because a lot of times I think we let ourselves out the hook by saying, I'm just so busy, I don't have time. And then you feel good about it because you're like, well, there's nothing different that I can do. But when you flip the script and say, it's not a priority for me right now, then that puts you, I think, in a different headspace, and it's not so easy to let yourself off the hook.
So it's changing your thought process. So instead of saying, hey, I'm doing my routine, sticking to my routine, tell yourself, hey, I don't have time to do this. I don't want to prioritize to actually work out, instead of saying I don't have time to work out.
Exactly. And this may not be that you don't want to prioritize it. I mean, we have a lot of good intentions and desires, but it really comes down to what do you block off time for in your schedule. And so I know a lot of times you mentioned when you wake up, the first thing you do is grab your phone. That could be a time for self-care. Could you just take the first 5 minutes when you wake up and do something that's going to really kind of set your day off for a great start, whether that be prayer, meditation, or, doing some stretching in the morning that's really going to get your body warmed up and going, or having a nice cup of tea to warm your body up in the morning. So self-care doesn't have to be long, and it doesn't have to cost you money. It's just about what you can do for yourself to nourish yourself on a soul level that really kind of aligns you to attack the day and win for the day.
That makes sense, because I always thought self-care, mindfulness, I thought all that stuff required a ton of time. But you giving me a simple tip here. Just drink some tea in the morning, get right, a 5-minute stretch. But I always thought it was more. So I think that'd actually be something that I could try to implement. Crawl before I walk, take baby steps and just try something so simple of waking up and getting a 5-minute stretch in.
Yeah, I think that's super important, is to think quality over quantity. So it's not about how much time you can spend doing it, but rather it's about just doing quality self-care activities. So it's really about what you need in that self-care time, not necessarily what you want. So if the choice is between, you didn't sleep well, and the choice is between taking a nap or going to get your nails done, maybe the thing that would be most nourishing to you looking at both of those options would be to take the nap, even though maybe you want to go get your nails done or you want to go get a massage. So it's really about kind of checking in with yourself and saying, what do I need right now to kind of help me function at the best of my ability? And then giving yourself that, but also remembering that it's more about the quality of the activity, and then also to focus on consistency. So not long durations. Like a lot of people will say, I don't have 30 minutes or I don't have an extra hour in my day. And the great thing about self-care is it doesn't require that. All it requires is you to think creatively and check in with yourself about what you need, and then spend just a couple of minutes consistently several times a week, or dare I say every day, giving yourself some self-care, and you'll see over time that is beneficial to you. I like to think about it like building muscles in the gym. Like the first time you go work out, right? You are a little sore maybe, and it does take some time, but once you keep working out day after day after day, you're building that muscle, and you'll see that your body kind of starts to crave working out. And it's the same thing with self-care. Your body will start to crave you taking care of it and really giving it that deep level of nourishment and recharging it.
Yeah, that makes sense, because all along, all these years, I've been thinking it's like an hour or longer for some self-care, for some mindfulness. But taking 5 minutes, I can make 5 minutes to do something. I think you also said it right, when you prioritize. When I tell myself, hey, this is a priority to me, or this isn't a priority to me, you do change your thought process and get a different perspective. So that'll be my challenge for the week, is to actually take 5 minutes to get a 5-minute stretcher and to actually get some tea or something like that. So appreciate that little bit of advice, because all along I've been thinking it'd take like an hour or a couple hours for some mindfulness and some self-care.
Yeah, but it doesn't really take a long time. And then also, I love self-care because you can be really creative with it. Like one day you can stretch, another day maybe you meditate, and then the third day maybe you do some light reading that's gonna kind of nourish you or set you up for a good day. So you can kind of experiment and see what really works for you and what fits for you, and then do more of the things that fit for you.
Yeah, that's what's up. So you basically saying, check in with yourself, see where you at, see what you need, see what you want. Actually ask yourself the question, what's a priority to me? And then go from there.
Yeah. Ask yourself, what do I need in this moment to really help nourish me, recharge me, refuel me, re-energize me, and then give yourself that. And also, when you find yourself maybe making excuses, or you fall off the wagon and it's been several weeks or several days since you've done self-care, kind of checking in and saying like, am I making this a priority? It's not about me not having time, because I've obviously been doing things throughout these past few weeks. You've been doing things, but you've been doing the things that you intention about and you make a priority about. And so it's about kind of shifting priorities and making sure that self-care is high up on the list of priorities.
Okay, so check in with yourself, see where you at, make sure self-care is actually what you want, and prioritize to make that self-care happen. So that's cool. I'm going to try that, and hopefully other people will actually try that. And not to put you on the spot right now, but give us some tips of what all we can do or challenge ourselves to do within this week with some self-care.
Yeah, so I have a couple more tips as far as making time for self-care. So I've already talked about making it a priority. And a lot of people will say, well, I have other things on my list of priorities, and that's true. So one thing you might find is that you maybe have to wake up a little bit earlier to fit self-care in, or you have to sacrifice some of the time that you spend scrolling on Facebook or Instagram in order to fit that self-care in. So it's really about, again, determining what's important to you. And I feel like self-care should be important to everybody, because that's what helps you to function at your best throughout your day, whether it be at your job or being a parent or being a partner. When you take care of yourself first, you'll be able to give to other people from a full place. And so they won't be getting just like your leftovers and potentially the irritability that we sometimes have when we don't take care of ourselves. So everyone should care about self-care and should want to take better care of themselves. It's just like if you buy a new car, you wouldn't drive for hundreds of thousands of miles without getting the oil check, right? You would check in with that car every so often. You pay attention when the car gives you those signals saying that like something's wrong, the tire pressure is down, or the oil, needs to be changed. And so that it's just about treating ourselves the same way that we treat some of our possessions, like our cars or our cell phones, when they tell us that something is needed needed, some care is needed, then we take it to the dealership and get that taken care of. And so it's the same thing with our bodies. We have to check in and be responsive to those signals that our body is giving us. So that was a long-winded way of kind of going back to the idea of prioritizing. The second thing that I already kind of touched on was focusing on quality over quantity. So again, it's not about being able to carve out 30 minutes or an hour every day. It's just about doing something. Even if you take a short walk during your lunch break, it's doing something for you that's going to benefit you and not necessarily benefit anyone else. The third tip here is to let go of that, of habits that no longer serve you. So I mentioned that sometimes when you prioritize self-care, you might have to sacrifice some other things. And one of the things that you can think about sacrificing is those habits that don't do you any good. So maybe, sacrificing the habit of, spending so much time on social media. I mentioned that, or sacrificing the time that you would spend maybe like going out and having fun with friends, instead going to sleep, taking care of yourself in that way. So sometimes it requires us to let go of some of those habits that we build up that are just not great for our overall health and wellness. And we all have different flavors of these types of habits that no longer serve us. So again, it's about getting to know yourself and saying, what do I engage in on a regular basis or on a consistent basis that really is not benefiting me in any way? And could that be a spot where I can let go of that, or maybe even lessen the time that I spend with that if you don't want to let go of it all, but can I take some time away from that habit that I engage in and then put that time back into self-care? So that's another thing. Sometimes you have to let go of those habits that are no longer serving you. And then the last bonus one that I'll share as far as how to make time is to set up a rule for yourself that not engaging in self-care is not an option for me. Like, as for me and my family, we're going to engage in self-care. And so making it like by any means necessary, I'm going to fit in self-care, whether you start with once a week, twice a week, or 5 days a week. Like, it's not okay for me to go more than 2 days without doing something for my self-care. And when you set it as a rule for yourself, then you can really, I think you'll be on a better space to accomplish that self-care and to really make it a priority in your life.
So that's what's up. So I'm taking here. So I got the bonus step actually goes with the first step. So we're going to prioritize to make sure we do some self-care. Next, myself, I'm going to do a 5-minute stretch. Afterwards, I'm going to figure out quality over quantity. So I'm going to get some quality in. And then also I'm going to actually make that sacrifice and say, hey, look, this week I'm going to quit group texting. I'm going to cut back on group texting. I'm just not going to be able to go cold turkey in that group text. But I'm going to cut back on the group text. But for others to just figure out one thing that they can cut back on and sacrifice. So basically that extra 10 minutes I had in a day off them group texts, I can put that into self-care.
Right. And you're going to see maybe a better benefit that comes from the self-care than that other activity or that habit that you have been investing your time in that really wasn't kind of benefiting you in any way.
So that's what's up. So let's just end it right there. We appreciate the tips on making time for self-care. And I'm myself going to actually try these steps to actually do this, to try to make it work out. And we can maybe check in next week and see where that led me, if I was successful, if I failed, or what happened with it. But
yeah, we'll see. So, and also, like, I would encourage anybody that's listening, like, I just shared a few tips, but anybody that's listening, if they have some tips on the ways that they kind of are able to make time for self-care. I know a lot of people, they are great with self-care, and so it's about kind of getting ideas from people who are great at it. So I would love if people would leave, comments saying what you do to prioritize self-care and how you've been able to carve out time despite your busy schedule.
So that's what's up. So let the people know where you're located at, where they can message you at, where they can flood your inbox at with what they got going on for their self-care, or if they need tips or something. So give us your handles. Yeah,
so I'm available on Facebook and Instagram at Dr. Robyn Gobin. And then at my website, you can always email me, www.robyngobin.com.
And again, with this being a podcast, let the people know You Robyn with a Y, not Robyn with a I.
Yes, exactly. Robyn with the Y, sorry. Gobin with the I.
There we go. So there we have it. Once again, we appreciate you for these tips, and we look forward to next week's episode.
Sounds great. See you next week.
Thank you for taking better care of you and for listening to another episode of Self-Care Prescriptions. Stay connected and tuned up with Dr. Robyn Gobin. Visit RobynGobin.com or follow us on all platforms at Dr. Robyn Gobin. Stay healthy and stay balanced with Self-Care Prescriptions.